You know what? I understand where you come from, Sigma. I do want to see about expanding this into other countries. This is for North America because this actually does include Canada. UMAD is a Canadian tournament. Um, but there's players in Europe. There's players, specifically in England and a lot of other places too. There's players in Japan. There's even players in Australia, and I want to see about linking that stuff. When I first started doing a lot of this stuff, it was really focused on SoCal, and then it was focused on Evo, and then it was focused more around the rest of North America, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I do want to expand this further. I do want to see you have a scene where you're at, over in I think you're in Europe, Sigma. Um, I do want to expand it further, but I got to do a step at a time. And for now, for this circuit, I'm focusing on North America. Maybe the year after that, we'll see about expanding it even further. I'm excited. I want to see some good Japanese trips, so like get some of the more of those Japanese players going on. Um, I mean, not to pause this, but this is kind of important too. I did speak with Teresa at CEO Taku about this because I was curious. How's the Japanese plus R scene? Because if it's good anywhere, it's got to be good in Japan, right? The vampire savior scene's strong in Japan. The Sonor Star scene's strong in Japan. Third Strike scene is strong in Japan. Plus R's got to be it too, right? But after speaking to Teresa, he kind of explained to me that it's not really that big in Japan. Unfortunately, you have a lot of good players, a lot of strong players, but most of them are people who just kind of didn't move on to Xrd. A lot of times because their character wasn't updated in there, and the way the arcades are set up over there, if you the arcade board for Plus R is actually the same arcade board as Xrd. So if you decide as an arcade operator to not put your board in Xrd mode and you keep it in Plus R mode, you're going to lose money, right? So if you did put Plus R in there, that wouldn't really be a good business model. So there aren't really that many meetups for Plus R, and there are not many arcades that want to host it. So from what I understand, they only have like 3 meetups a month across like different areas of Japan in total, and that's not cool. I really hope that we can kind of help Japan out too. My focus right now is North America, but I think that's not a challenge that's impossible. I want to help Japan. I want to help other places like UK too. I've heard a lot of players in UK are playing. I know UK's not one place. Like if you're in London, that doesn't mean you're in everywhere else in UK because the UK's not just one country even. But I want to see how that helping you guys out too. But my focus for now is North America, and then we'll work on some other places. But yeah, so after that somber mood, let's go back to this. I'm hoping to get some Japanese players to our North American tournaments. I hear there might be kind of a big trip going to this CEO Taku coming in 2020. That would be really cool if we can get that going forward. We're get a lot of Japanese players for Plus R for that. Um, and especially now that Arc System Works doesn't even want to support Xrd anymore. I mean, I was shocked that Xrd there's gonna be no Guilty Gear at Arc World Tour 2020. No Guilty Gear. That's a shock to me, an absolute shock to me. I can understand. Like I was trying to talk to them about seeing about maybe some Plus R on the side over there. Doesn't have to be endorsed. They don't even have to give a pop bonus. I'll kind of run it. They weren't really for it, and we just kind of played it on the side as just casuals, and that was fine. And so I was thinking maybe next year I can see about doing something a little bit more. But they're getting rid of Xrd. They're getting rid of Xrd. They're not going to touch Plus R. No Guilty Gear in Arc World Tour 2020 is just shocking, absolutely shocking, and it kind of goes towards how Arc System Works sees not just Plus R, because of course Plus R is not in there, but how they see Xrd. They want to drop Xrd. They have no point in it. They don't want to drop. They don't want to play Xrd. They don't want to play CF. I get CF a little bit, but I mean, how could you not have a Guilty Gear at Arc World Tour 2020? That's just shocking. So at this point, I understand what Arc System Works is doing. I gotta do everything independent from that. And if we're gonna build Plus R, we have to do it on our own. That's straight up it. We have to do it on our own. So I'm working really hard to try and get this kind of more grassroots thing going up. That's when I kind of solidified we got to do the circuit because I'm not getting help from anybody. No, I'm not going to be able to get any sort of pop bonus from Arc System Works. It's not happening. From all I'm concerned is they don't even want this game to be out there. Um, because they don't want competition from Strive. That's what my guess is. Um, so with that being said, we're working hard on this. I really want to push this. Maybe they'll change their mind if they see that we get hundreds of people for tournaments. But I don't care. I don't care what they do. All I want is something, myself to push this kind of stuff. I love this game, and this game kind of represents a style of fighting games that's dead. Not that the game's dead, not that this kind of thing's dead, but like nobody in a current gen would make a game like this. And it's not because the game's bad. It's just because that's not the like the decision they want to do. You're not gonna find a game like this, So let me read your comments before I start here, because I see some comments that have gone on here. So arcades aren't getting rid of Xrd. I just meant that the arcade board that has Xrd in it is also the exact same arcade board that has +R. So if you chose that you have your arcade cabinet that runs off of Ring Edge, and you decided if it has Xrd or if it has +R in it, you'd lose money by choosing +R, right? So that's what I meant there. So very few arcades are going to do it unless they have a very core scene for +R. And there's not many arcades that do that. And sometimes they just do it like one night. Like they're scheduled, like, hey, the +R people are going to show up the third Sunday of the month, So, okay, we'll switch this arcade cabinet to +R for that one day. Which is a shame. But yeah. Let's see here. Sometimes it's shocking to think that your favorite formerly small dev company has grown to this point, is willing to bank on the strength of its latest releases at the risk of losing some of its fan base. There was that 4Gamer interview with Ishiwatari that happened recently, and man, I mean, if you've read interviews from Ishiwatari back when he was like first developing Guilty Gear X and X2, he would have never spoken of stuff like this. It was all about the art, right? The whole, you can tell the game is all about the art. Not just the graphics of the art or the music, but the gameplay. He was talking about how at the time when they were working on it, like Alpha 2 and Alpha 3 were kind of popular. Alpha 3 was after Street Fighter 3, but so Alpha 2 was kind of popular, and a bunch of these other games were popular. And he was talking about how what they wanted to do was make a fighting game that was more challenging, because these fighting games were holding your hand too much. And that's what he wanted. That was his focus in the game, and he did it, and people love it. I mean, Guilty Gear. I'm not gonna say it took the world by storm, but it practically created a genre of fighting games. Like, where would you be without Guilty Gear? All these anime fighting games that exist, they all are taking stuff from Guilty Gear. The Gatling combos, all this kind of stuff, And I understand from a business perspective. I think Daisuke is doing this because he thinks the community wants it. He thinks gamers want this, not because he wants it. I mean, I'm not going to shill for Daisuke. He's fully capable of making a wrong decision, but I think he's doing this because he thinks that's what the gamers want. And if you look at the trend of fighting games, all these other fighting games that have come out that have been trying to simplify things and stuff like that, you see that that's the trend. But that's the trend I think that the developers are pushing, not that the gamers are asking for. If that was the case, then Under Night In-Birth wouldn't have this strong showing. I mean, Under Night In-Birth at the last Evo that happened had more people showing up than Xrd has ever had on its best year. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Wing Zero. Gamers, not FGC. Like I said, Under Night In-Birth last year, the very first year it's been up, had more entrants than Xrd has ever had on its best year at Evo. And that's saying something. Under Night In-Birth is not an easy game. That is not a game that holds your hand. But that is a game that people love and they want. And I mean, I think I've seen it this way, but I've been told it's not quite the case. But Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, when people played that, they kind of saw it, and they saw, like, when you don't know any better and you play this kind of game, like Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, it's like, oh, this game's fun, this game's neat, but you don't know what you're missing, right? You don't know the original content, and they like these Under Night In-Birth characters, and so they checked out Under Night In-Birth characters from BB Tag, and they're like, whoa, this game is very different. This game is really hard. And you saw people, I think, leave BB Tag and play Under Night. I mean, Under Night is getting more entrants than BB Tag. What can you say about that, There's a reason why Under Night Inburst getting more players, and it could be just the community showing up, and the community's stronger. You got a good head. Shinobi's really pushing Under Night, but I mean, ArcSys is pushing BB Tag. They're pushing it hard. I mean, BB Tag is going to still be at Arc World Tour when Guilty Gear isn't. So, yeah. More of this. Let's see here. Game companies not supporting old releases. Yeah, I get that. You know, I mean, Capcom did the 30th anniversary, and they had like a $7,000 pot prize for their game, and it was once. You know, they're not going to do a full tour on it. But if you see that there's a scene, I mean, you could make money off of that kind of scene if it exists. There isn't a reason to not do it. If Capcom promoted a Super Turbo scene and had like regular things for it, they could get people to play the game, to buy the game. I don't think it shouldn't happen. You're not going to have Super Turbo competing with Street Fighter 5. You know, you're not going to take sales away from Street Fighter 5. But you're also not going to really get people to buy updates to Super Turbo. So maybe that's a part of it. Let's see here. Yes, like you said, Guilty Gear is not going to be at the Arc System World Tour. Not that they're getting rid of Guilty Gear. There is no Guilty Gear going to be at Arc World Tour 2020. They might have Strive like as a playable demo, or the game might just be out when the World Tour starts, but they're not having a Guilty Gear tournament at Arc World Tour 2020. It's just gonna be BB Tag and Grand Blue, and that's what they said. They didn't say any other games, just BB Tag and Grand Blue. Tekken 7, yeah, I have a lot of respect for Tekken 7. Tekken 7 and Unist are the two current like hardcore fighting games. And that's, I mean, fighting game as a genre is a hardcore genre. You're not going to have casual players getting into fighting games. It's just not going to happen. You know, I mean, not to harp on you not a real gamer kind of thing. I'm not going to say that because you got plenty of people who play Mario Brothers and they enjoy it. I enjoy Mario Brothers. You know, and they can enjoy that and they'll be a gamer, but they're not going to be somebody who's willing to spend, you know, hundreds of hours on a fighting game. I mean, that's always how fighting games have been, you know, where you have a more hardcore base. If you try and make that a more casual base, you end up kind of transforming the genre in a way that doesn't really seem to make sense. But yeah, I've been talking about this too long. We've got two finals to take care of here. I do like talking about this topic. I've been immersed in fighting games since I don't know, since I was 6 years old. Been really into it. I used to work at an arcade. You guys know the story, I think. But I used to hold SBO qualifiers for Third Strike, and I'd run West Coast, and we'd do tons of tournaments, and that was my life at FFA. I loved it, you know. So I'm really enveloped in fighting games as a whole. I know I only really talk about Plus R right now, but there's a reason why my name's Classic Fighting Gamer. It's not because I only play Plus R, but I love Plus R more than any of the other ones. So, where were we? Let's see here. We have our losers finals here.